Thank you all for being here. Another live. And in this live is a redo of the live I wanted to do outside several days ago. Well, it was actually Saturday, I believe, or was it Sunday? But anyway, this is a redo of that same live. I'm going to expand on what you need to do when things go easy in life. A lot of people are looking up information what to do when bad times are coming or when things become difficult. But a lot of people have no instructions on what to do when things are easy. Too often, we have this magical thinking that when things go easy, we just can leave it like that and just get along with the ease. And that's the worst decision you can make in daily life. Just get along with the ease just like that. All right? Because first thing first, Christ has not returned back yet. So there's still evil and violence on the earth. So if evil and violence are on the earth till Christ comes back, then when you have some period of ease during this lifetime, it means that during the period of ease, some type of danger may pop up here and there. So you must be prepared to deal with upcoming violence and upcoming danger. As simple as that. That's number one reason why you shouldn't do that. Secondly, when you get along with ease, you lower your guard, you become less sensitive, and you become locked up in your own habits. And once you're locked up in your own habits, what happens then is that you become predictable, and the more predictable you become, the easier it is to set you up. That is how simple it is. Now, I'm going to use an example of this Dutch rapper over here. I'm just going to share the screen for just a little while, not for long. I believe his name is Bart Zelstra. It was called Baas B. In English, we Boss B. He was a very successful rapper together with another guy. Long Frans, you say in English, in Dutch, Lange Frans. And I even met this Lange Frans in real life one time during excursion for high school. I never met this guy in real life. But this guy over here, together with that other business partner, they were earning good money. They had a career and they were involved in the music industry. However, and by the way, I'm going to shut down the share of the screen now. This guy just showed you, at some point, it was in 2007, he wanted to leave the music industry and do something else in life. But because he was popular, he was having success. And I can remember back then, in the years 2005, 2006, 2007, indeed, in those years, this man was really popping in the music industry in the Netherlands. You would hear his songs often on the radio. A lot of young people would listen to the songs on the MP3 player. Smartphones did exist, but not in the abundance it is today. So people used to have MP3 players back then, or iPods. So what happened was that this guy realized, maybe it's better to get out of the music industry, but still others convinced him to stay and make another album. He did. And what do you know? Problems emerged. Conflicts emerged about the finances, and soon the wife, now people say it's the ex-wife of his business partner, another rapper, went to his house with a loaded gun. But the guy was not at home. Now, I don't know how they settled it behind the scenes, but eventually it was settled, and the guy definitely, after hearing about that the wife of his business partner was at his house with a gun, he stopped with the music industry and he went into anonymity. He disappeared out of publicity and he focused on studying. And now, after all those years, he's in publicity again. That's after, we can say, 11 years. So I barely recognized the guy on the picture. I thought, is that Boss B? Yes, it is him. Now look, he's a bit older. He's a bit older right now, and also, but look at this history. This guy in 2007, he felt that it was time for him to get out of the music industry. He stayed for 2 years longer, and what do you know? He was almost shot or kidnapped or whatever. Now, as far as I know, back then, when all this was going on, this guy was not a believer. I'm not sure if he gave his life to Christ now, or maybe he didn't, I don't know, but he was an unbeliever. But even as an unbeliever, someone that was not proclaiming Christ, he still sensed when it was time to move on, to leave something behind. He didn't do it, and it almost cost him his life. Now, he did never expect that the wife of one of his business partners, whom he was close with in the music industry, would even think about coming with a loaded gun to his house. I remember back then, in 2000, it was 2009 or something like that, I remember then reading the news also that I believe, according to the now ex-wife of the former business partner, that he owed them 10,000 euros, something like that. Anyway, however, it was resolved. It has been resolved. Both have moved on. But just understand, this guy's intuition was hitting him, get out. He didn't do it. Within 2 years, bad stuff happens. Remember what I told you. No evil and no violence unfolds on the earth without warning signals. Now, as a child, you can sense warning signals, but then it's up to your parents and your environment to help you out. In early teens, exactly the same. But from your mid-teens and on, you have more options because you become an adult or you already are an adult. And as an adult or someone that's grown, you should pay attention to warning signals. But here's the trick. Society has deformed many of us not to pay attention to our intuition. We're told that intuition either does not exist or that it's some type of fable or make-believe instead of a spiritual sensor that's actually working for us. Now, I'm not saying that if you have difficult times that you shouldn't continue. There are a lot of believers, a lot of believers now who went through a difficult time and they were about to quit, but someone told them keep going, and when they kept going, they got the victory. But that's when the things are hard. And that is the difference now. When things are hard, some people tend to give up right before the breakthrough. That's sad. But often when things are at ease, we think, we don't think about stopping. We don't think about changes. You know why? The things are at ease. But let me tell you about one thing. In this world, when things are at ease for a long period of time, be ready for some type of setup going on behind the scenes. Now, for example, let's say now that you love to go to football matches together with your friends. Your friends are on good terms with you. They don't violate you. There's no bad blood or whatever. You are on good terms with them. You often go to football matches with them. And some supporters end up rioting. You never do you and friends. You gave in a season 2. Now you've been doing this for like 3 years. And at some point you get the urge to stop going to football match with your friends, and you even get the urge to meet new people and extend your social circle. But then you think, hold on a minute, these are my buddies, are my friends. These are the people that I actually know. Why would I open up for other people? So you keep hanging out with those friends. Then one night, you come back home, and suddenly you had the police knock on your door. Why? One of your friends has been arrested for allegedly participating in a sex offense, and you are so-called a witness. So the police brings you to the police station, and suddenly they accuse you of being ahead of the crime, knowing that the crime would happen, but she didn't do anything to prevent it. Now, you're not even sure whether that friend of yours is guilty of the sex crime. You don't even believe it. But now the police suggesting you knew that he was a bit out of hand, and you still allowed him to get those rings and rape that girl. So now the police are trying to blame you for something that allegedly your friend did. Long story short, you end up going to trial and you're proven not guilty. But look at this. The trial costs you emotionally. It ruins your reputation. Because it ruins your reputation, you lost your job, and now you're applying for other jobs. People don't want to be associated with that gray cloud that was afflicting you. And now you both don't have much contact with those friends anymore, and you are unemployed, and you have difficulty moving on with your life. So think about it. The time you got the urge to meet new people and to slowly disassociate from those older people, when you got that urge, you should have done it. Because something bad was haunting your friends. And the bad thing that was haunting them sooner or later will also harm you indirectly. So that's why you got the urge to distance yourself slowly from those people and to meet other people. And you got that urge when things were going well. But just because things are going well doesn't mean there is no danger around the corner. And that is something a lot of people learn the hard way. Some people don't even get the chance to learn it because they die when the violence indirectly harms them. There were people that hung around toxic folks, and indirectly they end up being murdered. Let's say you have a guy that's in the streets selling drugs. You're not selling drugs at all, but you hang out with the guy from time to time. One day the people that have a conflict with them in the criminal world, they accuse him of stealing their drugs. They're looking for him, but because they can't find him, suddenly they see you in town and realize, this guy's always with our target, so they kidnapped you. And because we get information out of you, they shot you so that there's no witnesses. Now, indirectly, you got harmed and now you're dead. But the other guy that is still in the streets and he managed to escape. Because the other guy has a paranormal cover that covers him. You had no cover whatsoever. So your association with that guy caused you to be a target. When you hang around people, if they have stopped haunting them, the thing that haunts them will indirectly also harm you if you're around them. Okay, let me see now. I see Christopher's here, Justin is here, Joanna's here, Maria's here, Dion's here, Susanna's here, Alpha Studios, Ismir, and Mike, and Michelle is here also. Some of you came in late, and for those who came in late, just to replay the live stream back, because I'm continuing right now. Look, when things go easy, it's exactly then that you need to look around and reflect. Think about the case of that American woman I made like 2 weeks ago, something like that, or even more. This American woman, I believe her last name was Bradley. She went on a cruise with her parents and their brother. At the cruise, people began to approach her in a creepy way, and suddenly she disappeared. And years later, pictures of her appeared on porn sites where she was promoted as this sex worker. And there were more sightings of her, even one in Barbados. So she was kidnapped and sex trafficked. But look at this. Before she went on the cruise, she didn't feel like going. If she would have insisted in not going, she would have not been sex trafficked and all of that. But look at this. Things were going well with her, between her and her family. Things were going well. Things were not going wrong. And when things go well, we don't think about taking measures. Why would you take measure things all right? You wouldn't. But in this world, there's always some type of danger lurking around the corner. So when you have seasons of peace, it's absolutely then that is necessary for you to reflect on the environment, to reflect on yourself, and to reflect on the people around you. As simple as that. And that's something a lot of people simply won't do. I say, think, hey, things are going well. And let me tell you something, Saints. You shouldn't wait till Satan is knocking on your door to do something. You shouldn't wait till the police officers are throwing you in the prison cell to like school, something stuff. You shouldn't wait till people have a gun to your head or a knife to your throat, think, oh, something's off. Then it's way too late. When you suddenly get the urge to try something new and to just expand a little more, that is your intuition pushing you away from danger. Your intuition doesn't only give you warning signals, also push you away from danger. And sometimes God himself will suggest unto you to move in another direction. But people who hold on to their quote-unquote private lives, quote-unquote privacy, or their so-called free will, such people are the people that end up being set up and dying before their time. So when things are going easy, take your extra rest. Because as a believer, things will only go easy either when it's a setup by Satan to lure in a trap, or because you overcame the previous fight against you. If you overcome the fight against you, it will be a season of ease. In a season of ease, you need to take your extra rest. Why? Because your body took a toll going through all that psychic violence. So now you need to take your extra rest so that your body can come to rest. Okay? So you take your extra rest, and at the same time, while taking your extra rest, you also reflect on things and you process the past so that you can move forward in peace. So if you were at the job and you see people turn on you at the job, and you ended up having to leave the job, but you had the whole court case against you and you won the court case, suddenly you've won it. Now, for the next few months, you may be on welfare, relaxing, and now you think, you know what, maybe it's good for me to start my own business so I don't have to go back to the corporate world again. So you can reflect and make better decisions for the future. The sad thing is, a lot of people, when things go wrong and they survive it, they don't reflect, they don't do any of that. They're just glad it's over and they forget all about what they went through and they focus on the ease they have. That is absolutely dangerous. Instead of reflecting and examining how the danger unfolded and to be ahead of the danger in the future and also to neutralize or to shut down the current danger, they just get along with the ease. And before you know it, a similar thing or something else that's bad happens to them out of the blue. A lot of people out there never see anything coming. Things just overwhelm them out of the blue. And when that happens, they don't know what to do about it. But that doesn't have to be the case. It doesn't have to be you that's overwhelmed by sudden violence or sudden tragedy out of the blue. You can be ahead of most things that happens in life. There are going to be some stuff here and there that will suddenly happen, okay? But most of the things in life, you can be ahead of them if you have the proper attitude by being alert. Not being paranoid, I'm not talking about that, but just being alert. So never fall into a deep sleep, or better said, don't be distracted when things go easy. For example, I used to go to anime conventions often. Since 2010, I've been on anime conventions often, a lot. Then there came a point after visiting many of them, I decided I'm not going for a while. I'm going to try to do something else in my free time now. And I did. Then later, I began to visit anime conventions again. So I had a little pause from visiting anime conventions or comic conventions. Now, the anime convention world in the Netherlands, I mean, that subculture is not that big. When I began going to it in 2010, things were a bit neutral. But I've noticed that since I left the anime convention subculture, and later I just came back again because there's nothing wrong with it. When I came back, I noticed there was a big change. And this is a change that happened. Not only did the subculture grow, but now the subculture kind of became a colony of the rainbow community. I mean, in 2011, 12, and all of that, or 13, when I used to go to anime conventions or those comic conventions, it was just comic conventions, anime conventions. Now, even when you look on social media, or everywhere, on almost every profile of people that are into that subculture, you see some type of rainbow flag or some type of rainbow pronouns. I'm thinking, what? So within just 2 years or something like that, this whole subculture, it became a colony of the rainbow community. And now you have the rainbow advocates using this subculture to propagate sodomy and all of that. I still go to anime conventions when I can. I plan to go to one soon also. There's nothing wrong with that, just having fun and all. But now I'm more alert. So now I understand why years ago I got the urge just to try something new for a while. Now I get it. So what I'm telling you is that when your intuition hints to you to try something new or to advance or expand, just do it. And I also figured out that in the anime convention subculture, there's a lot of sexual toxicity going on also. I found out later. And there are also many creeps haunting other people sexually. I'm not saying that when I began to go in 2010 and those years afterwards, that none of those things were happening. But since the rainbow community became big in that subculture, the amount of creepiness increased. Now, I don't know what would have happened if I continued to go to those conventions. But at some point, there may have been a clash or something that would have happened between the rainbow community and me or whatever. Whatever would have happened, I bypassed it. That's how we need to walk, saints. You have your inner radar, which is your intuition, that you pay attention to, and you have the Holy Spirit. So you have a double a blessing over you. Don't just lay down when things are going easy. Don't. Because until Christ comes back, danger will be lurking all over the place. Now you shouldn't be worried nor stressed out because of it, but you should be ahead of it. So understand that seasons of ease are good, you need them, not just so that your body and your mind can come to rest, but also for you to improvise and move beyond. Now look, I use the example of me attending anime conventions and comic conventions, what I've noticed over there between the time, between the pause I made before and the time before and time after. And now I understand why I felt the need to get out a little bit. Now look, I don't know what it is with you. Maybe you are still attending church from time to time, and maybe you get the urge to stop going to church. And you think, nah, I have a good time at church. But okay. Then you keep going to church, and before you know it, you're trapped by false doctrine. I don't know what it is. For example, now, I have a season of East right now, as you all know. Does it mean now that I'm just laying back, sleeping all day long? No, I'm active. I'm active in different ways, anticipating stuff, making moves every day. By doing that, I'm not easily located when escalations come up again. During your season of ease, you must anticipate, besides taking your time off. And that's why being unequally yoked with unbelievers is very dangerous. You know why? Let me tell you. Because unbelievers don't even understand this, what I'm telling you. Some do, but those are exceptions. Most unbelievers, when things go well, that's the only thing they focus with. Things are going well now. They don't look beyond. They have no interest in looking beyond. So when you are yoked with unbelievers, you end up being dragged into their cycles. And when that happens, you become predictable because you're stuck in their cycles. And because you are the outsider, because you're not an unbeliever, when tension emerges and grows, it will likely turn on you. So as a believer, it's very costly and very unwise to be unequally yoked with unbelievers. There is no way for you to be equally yoked with unbelievers. That's not possible. And did I forget to tell you that before that big tribulation I went through, 2014 till 2016, you can even see some on the YouTube videos I made during those years that I was quite stressed out. And I had a temporary speech impediment. I couldn't even speak properly because all the tension I went through. Before that, there was also a season of ease I went through. Things just unfolded for a little while. But it was during that season of ease that people suddenly began to tell me, Rashid, I feel like people are resisting you. Several people don't know each other, told me that. And then suddenly, indeed, the resistance became in my face. So that was the last time ever that Satan could suddenly slide in and cause destruction with me. That was the first and the last time. Since then, I've grown and I am ahead all the time. Praise the Lord. Never again will I be deceived by a season of ease. Most of the people out there who died an untimely death, that means they died due to suicide, homicide, or due to tragic accidents, most of such people were in a season of ease. And because we're in a season of ease, they were distracted by the season of ease. They were distracted by the ease in daily life. That they didn't realize that there may be something growing against them. So when they were in that season of ease, they did sense warning signals, but because they were so into the ease of the time, they didn't pay attention to their inner radar. When everything goes well and suddenly you feel like a warning, You think, oh, it must be nothing, must be imagining it. No, you're not imagining it. It is a warning. So, when things go easy, take your extra rest. It's good to have a good time. Have a good time, take your extra rest, but always have the mindset you're alert. And better, when things are going easy, expand. Learn a new language, meet some new people, do something new, expand yourself during a season of ease. So that when violence emerges again, you are ahead. You're not the same individual you was before the violence emerged, before the season of peace. There are a lot of people out there who go through similar incidents over and over again, and everyone around them can see that they're always in a similar type of drama. They don't. But why? Because they're so distracted by the season of peace. Look at the past to reflect on it. Or better, reflect on the past. You reflect back. You don't look back in the sense that you are longing back. You reflect back. Reflect on the past to notice any cycle or pattern. And once you notice a pattern of destruction, be ahead of the pattern. Also reflect on the people around you. Reflect on them also. If someone you hang around with, you get a warning signal concerning them, check their past. If you notice a pattern of ruin that's haunting them, and you notice that individual was either not aware or not willing to actually see it, then begin to take your distance peacefully. Yes, Christ said, in the world you should have tribulation. But Christ also said, be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. Christ said that he has given us power to tear upon scorpions and serpents and the whole camp of the enemy, and nothing shall by no means harm us. So we are capable when we walk in his power. We're not capable by our own, but because Christ said, apart from me, you can do nothing. But when we walk in his power, we're capable to anticipate the violence and evil on the earth. And that is what we ought to do. Leave relationships and situations peacefully, because then you can always return to those relationships in an updated version later on, or there's always a door open for reconciliation. Never leave in anger or with conflict. Your own inbuilt intuition can only make you feel bad or good based on the energetic tensions around you. The Holy Spirit can actually hint suggestions onto you out of the blue. That's the difference. And one more recommendation for you. Stop hanging around the same people over and over again. Oh yes, I'm going to say it. Stop hanging around the same people over and over again. Look, the more you hang out, the more you're involved with someone, the more you will see about the other individual. And in the world, that is saying, familiarity breeds contempt. What they mean is, the more you are involved with someone, the more you will see their faults or their shortcomings or their issues. So the more opportunity there is for conflict. Now, that is worldling, because worldlings are fleeing. That's why for worldlings it's a risk to be too much involved with someone. With believers, it's not. But even then, I'm telling you, stop hanging around the same people over and over again. Why? Because if you're around the same people over and over again, you're predictable. And if Satan wants to trap you in some type of danger, he can use those people you're around all the time. It's very simple. Or, listen, if you're around the same people over and over again, eventually you become acclimatized to those people. So when those people become toxic out of the blue, you will be infected with that toxicity unaware, because you become acclimatized to them. You get me? But if you are hanging around diverse people here and there, you can become outsiders to the same people you're involved with, because you're not always around the same type of people. And by doing that, you get different perspective what goes on, and you extend your social network, and you can easily and peacefully switch away from people when necessary. If you keep hanging around the same people, you will miss out on opportunities. Okay, let me give you an example. If I only went to anime and comic book conventions, and I didn't look at the other events, I wouldn't have met certain people. And those other people I met at Japan fairs and all of that, I've learned knowledge because of them. And that new knowledge also benefited me in my you can say career as an anthropologist. If I would only hang out with people, to only go to anime convention or comic book conventions, that would be the only field I have to expand in. But now that I also have experience hanging out with other subcultures, as an anthropologist, I have more experience in dealing with different subcultures. So when there's conflict in society or when there is issues going on, I can easily figure out what's likely going on, because I've dealt with various types of people. Or let's say you grew up in the hood, okay? You grew up in the hood. Your homies in the hood are good with you. Your family's from the hood, everything is good. You guys love eating chicken. You go to the club. You have barbecues, all that. So you are good in the hood. Even though the environment is impoverished, you earn money, you work. You're not doing drugs or anything like that. So, but you're in the hood. But if you only stay in the hood, you'll miss out on opportunities in life. Maybe you have a talent for analyzing, so you can become a researcher. But for you to become a researcher, you must leave the hood, attend university for 3 years somewhere, and once you got your bachelor's degree in it, now you can do a master's for a year, or you can do some other project, and now you have advanced, you become a researcher, and as a researcher now, you can have impact. Also impact on behalf of your own community in the hood. But now, because you stay in the hood, you don't grow, you don't expand. You end up getting old in the hood. And that's how you have men in their 50s, some even in their 60s, going to the club looking for a nice ass to enter. If you're in your late teens and early 20s, going to the club, looking for some ass to have sex with, I will say I would recommend that lifestyle, but I can understand it. You're young and you just want to have some sexual excitement. But if you're in your 50s and 60s, at that age, a lot of people already have grandchildren, and you still go to the club checking ass, and you go to the club, there are many 50 and 60-year-olds doing the same thing. I'm thinking, what? And often those men in the 50s and 60s who go to the club looking for ass, they have grandchildren already. So in life, it's also good to move around a little bit. And listen what I'm saying here. A lot of people, this is the majority of the world, they never move around. They stick they stick with what they're familiar with. It's not only black people in the United States doing it, it's everywhere. Now, some people venture out only for a while just to prove to others they ventured out, but they don't really move around. For example, you have a lot of young people that go out on long holidays to Peru or to Australia, whatever, and they use that as proof, hey, I ventured out. But in reality, they stick with the same people over and over again. Look, you cannot undo the past. You can only process the past, and by processing it, you outgrow it. Some things you need to outgrow. Too often we fight against things. No, you need to outgrow certain things. Some friendships, some relationships, some sexual longings, some jobs, some situations, you just need to outgrow them. A lot of people think they need to fight poverty by working hard to earn money. No, you need to outgrow poverty, because poverty is a result of the fallenness of mankind. So once you renew your mind and you outgrow the poverty mindset, you'll see opportunities everywhere, and poverty will never have a grip on you anymore. That's why your seasons of ease are so important, because then you can take your extra rest and process things. And when you process things, you will outgrow things. Outgrowing doesn't mean you look down on the things you used to be involved in, but it simply means that now you can do better and you're better off. So if you used to hang around people in the hood smoking weed all day long, you don't look down on those people because they're human beings with value too, but now you realize that lifestyle smoking weed all day long is don't lead to anywhere good. So now you don't feel the urge anymore to be around those people, and you don't feel the loneliness that you felt. That bond with those people is gone because you've outgrown it. So you've outgrown loneliness and you've outgrown codependency. Let me tell you a little secret here. Most people out there never outgrow anything. Only thing they do is they flee. So they may cut people off, they may move to another place, they may get another job, but only thing they're doing is fleeing. Look, I can encounter people that used to go to high school with me, and I can just talk to them, be friendly, and be at peace with them. Doesn't mean I hang out with them, but I can be at peace with them. I don't have to avoid anyone because, hey, I've processed the past. I'm on good terms with everyone. They are not on good terms with me, all of them, but for my part, I'm on good terms with everyone. I process things, I outgrew the past. A lot of people don't outgrow the past. They just flee from unpleasant situations. Instead of facing unpleasant situations and processing them, they flee from them. That's how you have people going from marriage to marriage, or go from job to job, or residency to residency, over and over again. They keep on fleeing. They claim, well, I closed down the chapter. No, they didn't. They are in the same chapter, but the same conflict works out with other people. That's what's going on. So listen, when you encounter people that were there in your past, and there was no conflict between you and those people, and those people see you and they get fed up, they become angry, they are stuck. And they are the ones that need to process things and outgrow things. But because they're still in that loop of time, because they're still stuck at some point, they associate you with what they're stuck in. So let's say someone had a very great time in high school. Their high school period was not that fun. And you used to know them from high school. And one day you encounter them, you say hi, but they keep on walking. They have no interest talking to you. And then someone tells you, well, you're from that individual's great boss, but they have no interest talking to you. What's going on? It was not you that caused them to have a bad time in high school. So why are they just avoiding you, even though you were not guilty of anything? It's a simple thing. They never processed that dark time in high school. They never did. So mentally, they're still there. But physically, they are in the present. Physically, they graduated college, and physically, they're now at work. So the relationships are not the same, but psychologically, they're still stuck in that period. They're still fleeing. So that's why when they see you, You trigger what they're fleeing from. So then they think that you are the one bringing all that bad stuff on them again, while they're the ones that are stuck in it. Most people never outgrow things. They just flee. So that's the difference between escaping something and outgrowing something. When you are delivered, you outgrow something. Deliverance implies you process something. By processing, you outgrow it. Escape means you just get relief from something. So do you want to be delivered from poverty, or do you want to be relieved from it? Do you want to be delivered from violence completely, so that no violence ever can affect you anymore, or do you want to be relieved from it, that you can just escape the bad situation? The Heavenly Father wants us to outgrow the darkness of this world and not to be relieved from it. Church can only relieve you, but you're still in the darkness. Look, sudden things happen here on earth, but even sudden things have warning signals out of time. Too many people, because they're not practical and flexible, things just happen to them over and over again. But once they change their mentality and they improve as human beings, once they improve, they will be ahead of the issues and challenges in life. So you have to outgrow this fleeing. You have to outgrow this relief seeking. You have to outgrow this urge to be left alone. Life will not leave you alone. Reality will never leave you alone. So get over it. Reality will never leave you alone. Life will never leave you alone. So get over it. Get over that leave me alone attitude. Get over that relief seeking. Outgrow it. And that's something the narcissists refuse to do. And that's why they end up being narcissists. They keep insisting in reality, and because that, they turn into monsters. Listen to what I'm saying. A lot of the people that end up losing interest in you, why did they lose interest in you? Why? Because you've outgrown them. You're not the same codependent and lonely individual anymore. So because you're not that lonely and codependent individual anymore, they don't get narcissistic supply by being around you. Because when you're lonely and you are codependent on other people, those other people have a grip upon you. And they feel comfortable having this grip upon you. But once you are improving and healing, and you outgrow codependency and you outgrow loneliness, then suddenly they lose their leverage over you, and now they don't want to be around you anymore. So they left you because they can't exploit you anymore. So you think that they've left you because maybe you did something wrong. No, they left you because they can't continue their narcissistic exploitation anymore. That's why. Some of you had sex partners or spouses that turned on you out of the blue, asking for a divorce, and they just left you. And you think, what's going on? When that sex partner met you, you were wounded. And because you were wounded, you perceived them as all that. And that's what they used to take advantage of you. But now that you're healing and you're becoming a better human being, they're losing their grip on you because you're not that wounded anymore. So now, sooner or later, you will see through them, and you'll be shocked what you've married. You'll be shocked what you were dealing with. And they don't want it to come so far. They don't want to be exposed. So when they realize that they're about to be exposed because you're improving, they cause a fight and leave you. Let them leave. A drug dealer wants to be on friendly terms with you when you're a drug addict. You know why? Because when you're a drug addict, you need the dope. And because you need the dope, you will be his customer. And he has some power over you because of it. But the moment you are in recovery and you're clean, that same drug dealer doesn't want to be friendly with you anymore. He stays away. Why? Because you're clean now. You can say no to his offers. His offers are not that important anymore. He has lost his grip over you. He can't take advantage of you anymore. Oh, and look at this. Because you're clean now, you can even report him or her to the authorities. So now that you've healed from the drug addiction, you are a danger to the drug dealer that relies on your previous addiction. So of course, because you've outgrown that addiction, those that benefit from addiction will turn on you and leave you. Let them leave. Let them leave. Just like Hidden Gem said in the live chat, they want someone who will keep on walking in circles with them and going nowhere. That's true. That's what they want. They want you stuck in their misery without any options, just like they are. The moment you realize you have options and you take options and you face life, they get upset with you. So it is important to outgrow things. Look, I can watch cartoons. I can go to an anime convention. There's nothing wrong with that. None of that is childish. Look, as an adult, you can do fun stuff. Just because you're an adult does not mean that you have to be boring, go to work, and all of that alone. I can go to a movie. I can watch a cartoon. I can go to anime conventions. I can go to concerts. I can do all of those things. But I'm not clinging onto them like a child would be, because children will cling onto anything because children don't know any better. So that's the childly clinging onto things. I don't have it anymore because I'm an adult. And because I'm an adult, I can be more constructive with the fun things I'm doing. So if you are 40 years old and you love watching Ed and Ed or Scooby-Doo or something else, just watch them, just have fun. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're in your 40s or 50s and you have children and grandchildren and you love to play the PlayStation or you love to play the Xbox, just do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing, because you're an adult, you won't be clinging onto it. And because you're not clinging onto it, you're more constructive. You get me? That's the difference between an adult and a child. A child will become clingy because that's the only thing the child knows. But an adult has more options, so that the adult will not be that clingy. So that's the difference between childish and adult-like. Childish means you're clinging, because that's the only thing a child can do. So an adult that's way too clingy, that's childish. But an adult that's flexible and practical, that's maturity. Look, you won't wear diapers anymore. That's something children do. You won't go to the playground anymore. There are certain things that only children do. There are also certain things only babies can do, like wearing diapers or that. You don't do that. But apart from those things, you can have fun, you can be at peace, you can do all of those things. For example, Scooby-Doo, I used to watch them when I was a child. When as an adult, after going through all that psychic violence, all of that, and gaining all the spiritual knowledge, I looked at Scooby-Doo again. I was thinking, what type of creepy show is this? But as a child, you didn't see any of that. So the adult is more advanced than the child. The child will be clinging, that's the only thing the child can do. But as an adult, you're more advanced. That's what maturity is. A maturity simply means being advanced. And listen, narcissists are not childish, they're negative. Because children are willing to comply. Children are willing to take action. Narcissists don't want to take any action, just expecting it just to happen for them. And when it does happen, they escalate. So even little babies, when they see a bottle, they know what to do. A little baby sees the toilet, he or she knows what to do. A little baby sees mom or dad, they know what to do. But narcissists or narcissistic people, they don't want any initiative whatsoever. They just want to benefit and then flee, which is not childish, it's just negative. So never call narcissistic people childish. It's an insult to children. So The moment you process things, you also see through many of those etiquettes, or through the etiquette of society. Society has an etiquette how you should treat people. Why? Because worldlings want relief. Worldlings want to be able to discard you when he wants to. That's why you have formal language. So, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, use someone's last name. All those things are to keep it an emotional distance, so when people want to discard, you can do it easily without having emotional consequences. That's what it's about. Using formal language, being formal, has nothing to do with being mature or being honorable. It's all about making it easy for the other to discard you. When you call someone with their first name, which just who they really are, it's quite direct. But when you call someone indirectly with their last name, what's going to happen is that the people you address won't feel that connected to you, so when they want to discard, you can do it easily. So you were told that using formal language as yes, sir, yes, ma'am, or use someone's last name, all that is polite. What is polite? Just polite simply means you give in to someone's expectation. You are told that by giving in to people's expectation, you're a good individual. And now, as an adult, you realize, well, why do people expect these things? Now you realize that there's a dark motive behind it. People want to be able to discard you whenever they want to without having any consequences. That's why they want you to treat them in a formal way. So even the division between formal and informal is only there to make it easier to discard you when people are done using you. That's how it goes in the world. They just want you to get along so they can easily discard you. That's why. So the whole thing about emotional distance and those respect forms are just to easily exploit you. That's why. It's hard to exploit someone that you have a one-on-one interaction with. But it's easier to exploit someone that you have a distant interaction with. It's very easy to discard a number. So when you behave like a number, or people treat you as a number, it's easy to exploit you and discard you. When you act like a human being, it's very hard for them to exploit you. That's why when you are too human, you're considered rude. When you are too human, you're considered rude in society. But you are a human. But when you act very human, they discard you because you're rude. No. Rudeness is just an accusation for not allowing them to exploit you. That's all rudeness is. And politeness is a pat on the back for allowing people to take advantage of you. That's what it is. I'm keeping it real. So outgrow your parents. Outgrow where you came from. You don't have to abandon where you came from, but outgrow where you came from. Outgrow how you were raised. Outgrow the norms and values you got. Outgrow the morals you got. Outgrow the etiquette you were told. Outgrow the toxic restriction of society. Outgrow those things. That's the way to go. Well, that's it for now. I don't have much more to say in this live stream. Thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and we'll see you next time. Be at peace.